We apologize for interrupting your regularly scheduled program. You're watching BBC News. We now want to go live to Washington, where the Republican House Speaker John Boehner is speaking before the U.S. Congress votes on the debt limit crisis.
The President asked for an increase in the debt ceiling, and I made clear at that time that there would be no increase in the debt ceiling without significant cuts in spending and changes to the way we spend the American people's money. Shortly after that, I was in New York. Gave a speech and outlined that I thought the spending cuts should exceed the amount of the debt limit increase, and there should be no taxes as part of this agreement. And when you look at what we've been able to achieve, we've met those two standards that have been outlined. I've been very consistent that it's time for America to deal with its spending problem and deal with the fact that we've made promises to the American people that our kids and grandkids just can't afford. In addition to that, we've worked with our members and listened to the American people who have a real interest in making sure that we don't get into this spot again, and that we ought to have a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution. And I think if you look at the structure of the balanced budget issues in this agreement, it gives us the best shot that we've had in the 20 years that I've been here to build support for a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution, to put the kind of fiscal handcuffs on this Congress that are sorely needed. If we had been operating under a balanced budget amendment, we had never gotten ourselves into the mess that we're in. But this is really important for our fiscal future, but it's also important for the fact that our economy needs to get going. Beginning to take steps toward fixing our fiscal problems will, in fact, provide more confidence for employers in America, the people we expect to reinvest in our economy and to create jobs.
The House will vote on a measure today that, although not perfect, will begin to change the culture here in Washington. For too many decades now, on the part of both parties, this town has spent money it doesn't have. And by sending to the Congress this year 87 new Republicans, the American people have actually changed that and have changed the direction of this country. Now, I said the bill is not perfect, and it's not, but changing the way that Washington spends taxpayer dollars is often a lot like redirecting or turning an aircraft carrier. It's a monumental task. I think that in my experience throughout the last couple months, I've been involved in a lot of discussions surrounding this issue. And from day one, this administration has been insisting that we raise taxes in order to solve this problem. I think the big win here for us and for the American people is the fact that there are no tax hikes in this package. With so many people out of work, with the middle class hoping for more jobs, the last thing we need right now are tax hikes. And I'm told that the leader on the other side of the building, the majority leader, went to the floor today and indicated that somehow I'd changed my position on that. I can tell you flat out he is wrong. I insist again that now is not the time for us to be considering tax hikes when there's over 9% unemployment and too many people are out of work.
What a difference 1 year makes. A year ago, Washington thought that it just needed more spending, thought that they needed more government. After the election has been a fundamental change. Now Congress is opened up, transparent. You've watched that ideas come to the floor, and the ideas have to be debated. You watched the leadership from this House not only pass out 2 bills, we'll take the lead at moving this bill out first as well. This bill does not give all the answers. This bill does bring accountability. This bill does put in spending controls. This bill does cut spending, does not increase it. If you start at the beginning of this debate, I think it was the second day when we were sworn in when Geithner first sent the letter. They wanted just to increase it 2.4 with no cuts and nothing else. We are at a crossroads. This is a fundamental change for this government. This is a fundamental change for this country, but it's only a start. After we pass this, we'll come back the next day to continue to work to create the jobs through the small business that we know to move this country in the right direction.
The American people have said there are too few jobs and there is too much debt. The legislation that the House will soon vote upon, I believe, helps to address both of those concerns. As our whip said when this debate started, there were those who still called for job-killing tax increases from the federal government. It is not going to happen with this piece of legislation. And this piece of legislation, for only the second time, for the first time in my life, government discretionary spending will go down 2 years in a row. The numbers relative to the problem are minimal. The directional change is huge. What I hear from job creators throughout this nation in the 5th District of Texas that I represent is we're worried about this debt because we know one day we'll have to pay for it. It's one of the great factors of uncertainty and lack of confidence that is contributing to our continued high rate of unemployment. This piece of legislation takes a step in the right direction. And most importantly, for many of us who did not want to raise the debt ceiling in 15 years. Families have to do it. Small businesses have to do it. 49 of 50 states have the requirement to do it. The American people expect nothing less out of their federal government. So I look forward to taking that debate on the balanced budget amendment to the people of America and hopefully having it reported out to the states soon.
As I stand here, I too can't help but think about where we were a year ago when the Congress was passing record new programs and spending and approving record deficits. And today we've completely changed course, where we're debating now how much we can cut and what programs we can reduce. Now, the Speaker has said over and over that this is not a perfect plan, but I view this as a significant step in the right direction. And when you ask yourself, is this plan going to help get our fiscal house in order? Is this plan going to make sure that we keep the American dream alive? I believe the answer is yes. I'm going to be supporting this plan, and I'm urging my colleagues, both Republicans and Democrats, to also support this plan.
Think about where we were in the beginning of this process. We had a president asking us for a blank check. He didn't get that. Then we had a president asking us for a big tax increase on job creators. He didn't get that. We said, with the Speaker's leadership, for every dollar of debt increase, you got to cut more than $1 worth of spending. We got that. We've been trying to get discretionary spending caps in law since I've been here for 13 years. Jeb Henschling and I have been introducing legislation for the last 8 years to get caps on spending. We couldn't even get caps on discretionary spending the last time the Republicans were in the majority. We got that. That's important. We see this as a good step in the right direction, as a decent down payment on the deficit, and as a huge change in the culture of spending. We are cutting spending. We are spending less money next year on discretionary spending than we spent last year. You haven't heard that kind of a statement before around this town. We got a long ways to go. This does not fix our problems, but we really do believe that the value of this Republican majority has been to change this culture. In the old days, we had what you called the Gephardt rule. The Gephardt rule meant you could just sweep a debt ceiling increase into a budget resolution and no one would really have to be seen voting for it. When we took the majority, we repealed the Gephardt rule, so we would do this in plain sight so the public could see. And what we did with that was use this as an opportunity to change the culture in spending, and that's exactly what this bill does.
Question. I just met with all the members of our Armed Services Committee. There clearly have some concerns about the defense numbers in this bill. But as I told them, this is the best defense number we're going to get. And frankly, if we don't pass the bill, it's pretty clear to me what will happen is the defense number will go down. And so I believe that many of our members from the Armed Services Committee will be supporting the work of the House.
Leader Pelosi left the caucus this afternoon, and she indicated that it's going to be on you to bring a majority of votes here in the House. She thinks that it's incumbent upon the Republicans to bring forward. Do you think that you've got it?
Well, I would remind all of you that this is not just an agreement between the President and myself. This is an agreement between the bipartisan leaders of the Congress and the President of the United States. And all of the leaders have a responsibility, because they've all signed off on the agreement, to bring sufficient votes to make sure that it passes. All right, Ryan, go ahead.
This is the kind of thing we've been looking for years. There are some who have just various concerns, whether it didn't go far enough or whether defense was too high. I think at the end of the day, this bill is going to prevail, and it's going to prevail with the majority of Republicans. This gets us 2/3 of the cuts in discretionary spending we were looking for in our budget. Did we get 100% of the discretionary cuts we were looking for? No, we got 2/3. That's better than zero. I'll take 2/3 in my direction than anything else, and we're going in our direction. That's why I think most Republicans will support this. You'll have to ask those who feel that way.
What kind of guarantees have you gotten from Minority Leader McConnell about who the appointees will be on the super committee and what their views will be on the issue of tax credits?
Senator McConnell and I have talked about our appointees to this committee. We've not made any decisions, but I'm sure that we'll continue to have conversations about our appointees to the committee.
Last question, what would you tell leaders of your own party or candidates? Last question, what would you tell leaders of your own party or candidates, leaders of your own party, like Mitt Romney, who called this deal, that says it opens the door to higher taxes and puts defense cuts on the table? Somebody in your own conference, Michelle Bachmann, says it's a 2.2.
I've got a big job to do here. Those running for president have their own aspirations. My goal is to get this bill passed, signed into law, to solve this debt crisis and help get the American people back to work.